Hours. Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. Today we're going to start more sunflowers. Now this variety is a multi-branching, multi-flowering variety, and it's going to keep blooming summer through fall. It's a mixture from botanical interests currently called heirloom beauties. Now, I bought my seed years ago, and back then it was called autumn beauties. And through the years, I've been saving and replanting these seeds. But if you want to grow them this year, a variety with lots of different colors and multi-branching instead of just a single head, at botanical interests, look for heirloom beauties. Now they grow 5 to 8 feet tall. And like I said, multi-branching. Now your first flower is going to be your biggest. And subsequent blossoms after that will be a little bit smaller, but still they're 5 to inch blossoms. One year I counted more than 100 flowers from one plant that I had planted in my sunniest location. Now you can direct sow your seeds in the ground 1 to 2 weeks after the last frost, or indoors 4 to 6 weeks after the last frost. Here it's early April, and technically it's 3 weeks before our last frost, but I have enough time, and I want to start them indoors. Now these seeds are much thinner compared to the mammoth sunflowers that we just sowed. So don't plant them too deeply, just about 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch deep. Let me show you the two seeds. Let's compare them. Because I save my own seeds, I'm going to put 3 in each cell. I have plenty of seeds, and I've even given lots of seeds away. Now the mammoth sunflowers, I don't save those seeds because they cross with this multi-branching variety. And then the next year they won't grow true. So for those I buy fresh every year, so I only put 1 seed in each of those cells. But if you want to save your mammoth sunflower seeds, only grow that variety, because they're going to cross with all these other multi-branching variety, and they won't make that big head the next year. So we're going to put 3 in each cell, and later I'll thin it down to 1. Now they germinate best at 70 to 85 degrees. And they're going to germinate in about 10 to 21 days. Now, it's become a tradition in my area for me to give away free sunflowers. I have a shelf behind the garage where I set them out, and people really watch for it. That's one of the reasons I'm using these 6-cell trays. Later, I'm going to cut the cells apart. Because my growing space is so full, I want to be able to grow as many sunflowers as I can. So the 6-cell trays are the perfect size. So on this variety, I'm going to plant 144. And I've already started 144 of the mammoth. And some of these I'll keep for myself, but most I'm going to give away. I really love encouraging other people to grow beautiful flowers and vegetables. Pollinators love sunflowers. But my priority, the reason I grow this variety, is the goldfinch love them. This is what I tend to put in my back garden. And I sit on the balcony and I watch the goldfinch come and eat. Now wait to bring them outside to harden off and get used to the weather until after the last frost. Here in north central Maryland, that's the beginning of May. And plant them into the ground 2 weeks after the last frost. Here, that's mid-May or after Mother's Day. Now they're going to need support, and I like to plant them along the fence. They're going to need to be tied up. The fence is perfect for that. It's going to help protect them from the wind, but some of the branches will break. And I put those in vases because the birds will still come and eat those too. Let me show you some video. Now, if you want big with lots of branches and tall plants, put them in your sunniest location and give them lots of space. Now, this furnace room is the perfect temperature for sunflowers, but it's already full of the slow-growing summer vegetables and flowers. So we need to move them to the other grow room. And it's colder down there, 60 to 65 degrees in there, so we're going to have to use a heat mat. And I always cover my seeds with a humidity dome. It holds in the moisture, and it helps them germinate better. Now that second grow room, that's filling up fast too. The zinnias have sprouted, tomatoes are up, and now we have sunflowers in there. We have some lettuce growing too. Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. It's the very tail end of April with just a few days left, and it's time to start hardening off our autumn beauty sunflowers. You know, the multi-branching ones, absolutely beautiful. My favorite. Now these seedlings are 2 weeks old. Sunflowers grow fast. These are from my own saved seeds, and they germinated in only 3 days. today they're only going to stay outside for 2 hours. Then they're going to come back in the kitchen and we'll put them under these lights. And we're going to start hardening them off in this protected area. It's protected on 2 sides by the house and the fence. Every day we'll increase the time they stay outside. Today it's 2 hours, tomorrow probably 4 hours, and we'll just keep increasing the amount of hours. We'll also move them so they're exposed to more wind and more sun every day. Now we're going to bring them back and forth in and out of the house 7 to 10 days. Then we're going to plant them 2 weeks after the last frost. Here, that means after Mother's Day. One of the trays is really dry, so let's go get some lukewarm water from the kitchen. Because if we use the rain barrel water, it's so cold, it might cause cold shock. Now here in the heart of the city, I have to protect them from digging skunks, squirrels, and curious birds. So I'm using an old blueberry cage that I made. So here in the backyard, I like to grow about 11 sunflowers along the fence. But most of these I'm going to give away free to the community. It's become a tradition here. Out in the alley, I have a shelf set up and people watch and look forward to getting their free sunflowers. Good afternoon and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. Today it's time to plant out our multi-branching, multi-heading, variety of colors sunflowers called Autumn Beauty. Now these seedlings are 3 weeks old. I've already hardened them off for 7 days. Sunflowers love full sun, so along this fence is going to be just perfect. If you want lots of blooms, pick a sunny and warm location and space them 18 to 24 inches apart. They like lots of room. These are going to be spaced about 6 feet apart, and they will fill up that whole space. If you plant your sunflowers close together, they're going to be small and spindly. 6 feet. Because they have so many branches and so many heads, you don't have to worry about the location of them following the sun. Remember, the mammoth sunflower is going to follow the morning sun towards the west, but once the head is fully open, it's going to set permanently towards that morning sun. But Autumn Beauty has so many flowers, it's not going to matter if you plant it on the east or the west side. Now, if you're wondering what these are, this was for support. Stems started to flop over. Now, speaking of support, these sunflowers are going to need support. This fence will be perfect. I can tie them up later. Autumn beauty tend to be 5 to 8 feet tall. Bees love sunflowers. I love the variety of colors and the beauty they add to the garden, but the main reason I grow them is to attract the goldfinch. They prefer these tinier seeds over the mammoth, which produce the big seeds. Cardinals will also come and eat them. They tend to eat them off the ground, the ones that have fallen. Now here in front of the garage, I tend to get my largest, most productive sunflower. One year I counted over 100 flowers. Now along this fence, we're going to save for the okra. This gets the most sun, and it is the warmest location. I think this garage holds in the heat. Now, sunflowers don't require feeding. They can find nutrients themselves. They're really good scavengers. So here's an example. Right here near the corner of the garage and the rain barrels, there's just a small little area of soil, but a sunflower will grow here. It won't be as big, but it will survive. Now the last 3 are going to be in areas with less sun. There'll be more shade. And if you come back and check, you'll see that these don't grow as large. They're still worth planting here. Now there's an empty space where the berries haven't yet filled out this trellis. So we're going to put one in this location. Now these are going to be the smallest, but it's the best place to watch the goldfinch come, because up there on the balcony we can sit and have a bird's eye view. While sunflowers are drought tolerant, they do benefit from mulch. Now this week I will water them every day because the roots aren't yet established. Now I also don't direct sow because of the mulch. The seeds will just drown in all of that. Now the seedlings from in the house work much better for me. I normally grow one right here near the rain barrels, but this year I'm saving this area for the moringa. Now I need to protect these from 3 pests: digging animals, squirrels, and skunks. They like that soft soil. So I'm going to use these pieces of hardware cloth and surround the stem on all 4 sides, then secure it with a landscape pin. Then I need to protect it from slugs and pill bugs, and from me with this cage. I tend to accidentally step on my plants. And that cage will help me realize they're there and avoid them. Soon they're going to need support, but they're going to be too small to reach the fence. So I'm going to add this garden stake. I do it now because if I put it off, it just won't happen. Now I'm going to let you guys cool off in the house, and I'm going to finish the rest of these because it is a hot day. Now what I'm going to do with the rest of these sunflowers, I'm going to give them free to my community. It's a tradition in my alley. People look forward to getting my free sunflowers. Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. It's mid-July and it's time for a sunflower update. All of these were planted mid-May. I've been using my own saved seeds for many years, and when the first flower's petals start to shrivel, I'll enclose it in a paper bag to protect it from the birds and the squirrels. When those outer petals fade, you know soon it's going to be ready to cover with the paper bag. Then when you can brush off those flower parts that cover the seeds, you know it's ready to cover. So if I wanted to save seeds from this plant, now is when I would cover it. And the first flower is always going to give you your best seeds. Now this flower, I covered the first flower and I've already harvested it because it was flopping over. And that means it's ready to cut and leave it to dry the rest of the way in the house. But what you do risk is having less flowers after that. This is a good example. Many of these flowers are done. Now it's still setting flowers, but they're much smaller. And through the years, the colors have mixed and made some interesting, beautiful flowers. I did not harvest the first flower from this plant because the flower heads, they're kind of on the small side. But the birds have already taken care of all the seeds from that first blossom, and that's good because the plant hasn't gone to seed yet and it'll make more blossoms. goldfinch are loving these sunflowers, and it is the big reason that I grow them. You can see where it's plucked out the seeds. Thank you for visiting Withrow Urban Homestead. See you later. Bye-bye.